14 minutes after 8. And when I did indicate at the start of the show that we'll have the Gender, Children and Social Protection Minister in the studio, lots of you decided to forward your questions. So the show really is not about my questions, but yours to put to her. We'll go to Facebook in a bit, but let me just say good morning and welcome to the studio to you, Madam Otiko Afisa.
Good morning, Mama V.
It's good to see you.
A pleasure to be here.
Your inspiration is rocking my hair.
Why not? Yeah.
I wanted to start with, you've been in the news a lot lately. In fact, I think the news love you. When you went to Krobo Girls, the lesson you thought to teach about rape has also become a very major talking point.
Yes.
I'm sure you've had time to reflect on your words. Is there any adjustment at all that you want to make to the advice that you gave to the girls at Krobo Girls?
No. It's important that as a mother, I went there as a mother, as the Minister of Gender, and as a Krobo, talking to young girls. This was their 90th anniversary, and the theme was about excellence of girls and the role of stakeholders. I spoke about the role of the family members, the chiefs, the teachers not to impregnate the girls, the alumni, old girls to continue to help with the structures, and the parents not to force children to learn or to get into professions because those are the expectations of the parents. It's possible that your child might want to be an engineer, but you say she should be a lawyer, or they want to be a singer, then you say, no, go and be a teacher. All the professions are good, but it is the talent of the person that we need to identify and to work with our children. And busy parents should make time for their children. And the children have a right to be educated. But every right goes with a responsibility. So you need to learn to achieve the excellence. And their slogan is, Krobo is shining. And they say, oh, yes. So if you are going to be, oh, yes, about shining, then you should be careful about the choices you make. And how you dress is your choice. You can choose to be fashionable. But if the fashion would create a problem, for instance, and I made that example, if you wore a miniskirt and it could provoke or incite somebody to want to rape you, then you should advise yourself. Sometimes you go out late and the advice is that come home early, because usually bad things happen to people in the night. So every parent would say, hey, please come home. I remember when I was young, my dad would actually wait for me to come home before he locked the doors. And he would tell me, be careful about drinking, because sometimes if you get drunk, somebody could take advantage of you. In life, you caution people when you love them. And the ministry is the home of all the problems of Ghana. Anything happens to you at your workplace, like the Mawako girl, it ends up in my office. A girl goes to Kumasi, allegation that she has stolen, she's assaulted, it comes to my office. If you go to the hospital and something goes wrong, it's the Ministry of Health, but it will end up there. So it is the mother of the nation. I cannot just brush over things because people want to be fashionable or we want to copy other people. We are Ghanaians, we have a culture, we have a tradition. These are young girls developing, they must see themselves as role models, and they are going to be the future mothers and leaders. They must know how to dress and where to go to, in terms of how to dress to a particular event. Sometimes we dress wrongly to different places. An attire that you would wear to a party, I see some people wear them to church. So that type of information is about common sense and it's about love. We cannot pretend that we are not Ghanaians, and the law for rape is there. In a 10-minute speech, you cannot say everything. And so if you, that doesn't mean that I'm encouraging people to go raping girls.
Because I think that the criticism was that it means that I am kind of presenting myself to be raped in that sense.
Oh, no.
Should I provoke you only because I'm wearing something that is short? Is that not my right?
No, and I did say too that an invitation to treat is not an invitation to buy. If you see something hanging in the shop, you can look at it, you can admire it. It's not a force that you should buy it. And so if a girl dresses a certain way, it's not your right to go and rape the person. But when something bad happens to the girl, she is the victim. Her life can be destroyed. And so that responsibility of protecting herself, the family value that brings you up and has that instinct that even when you are crossing the road at the zebra crossing, look left and look right. That is what I was talking about. Always, young people in this country, always look left and look right about the choices you make, because childhood is only 18 years. You make a wrong choice, it can affect you forever. And that is a problem. I know that 2-year-olds are raped. I know that you can be dressed properly and be raped. But when you see food and it's attractive, sometimes you want to eat it, but the human being is not food. So in the area of rape, it's 25 years if you go and rape somebody. You don't do that. It's against the law. But the victim must also be responsible for themselves. So we need to know how to balance things in this country, because every right has a responsibility. And that is the caution. Families, we must raise our children as such. I have 2 daughters and 2 sons. Anytime they dress, like my son comes, he wants to pull his trousers down. Something is called autofist. I say, please, pull it up small. And then my young girls, they would want to wear this thing called leggings. You know, because of the food we eat, we are a bit big, our shapes are different. You wear that thing with the short blouse, it's something else. So I said to her, please, wear jeans and wear a longer t-shirt. I beg you. And when you go out, please come home early. At the end of the day, I am going to have the effect of whatever happens to her out there. So I must caution her. And wherever I go, I will preach that. With every right, there is a responsibility. Let's be careful and let's make sure that the laws in this country work. Okay. The issue of the Mawako girl, I've been following it seriously.
I wanted to ask what's
new. I invited her to my office 2 days ago. It's in court, so we can't say much. But the thing is, we are on it.
But what kind of support are you giving her besides what's happening?
There is a lawyer for her already, and the state apparatus are also there to support. We talk to her to encourage her, give her the confidence not to let anybody make her change her story for any reason, because sometimes when the thing is right, it is right. You cannot compromise on integrity. It is not in the best interest of any Ghanaian for anybody to treat a worker badly. We have domestic regulations for the domestic workers regulations. The Ministry of Gender is working on it with IOM, with the Ministry of Labor, to ensure that we have regulations for people who work in those category of jobs. But at the labor front too, we are working with the TUC. I'm going to be meeting the director and the labor minister so that we see how we can fashion out policies and ensure that they are implemented. The policies are there, is the implementation that is a problem.
Has this opened the floodgates for others who have stories like her to come forward to the ministry?
I get from 5 a.m. people start to call about different issues. Somebody went to have a baby, they can't find their baby or something bad, they think there is negligence. Somebody has an old lady that is being treated like a witch or is not being taken care of. Somebody wants to adopt a child, you know, human trafficking. Everything I told you about albinos coming to my office to talk about the cream, because when the sun heats up, it affects them. So it's not on the National Health Insurance. They wanted to know. That
also generated a lot of backlash for you when you use the information minister as an example.
Yeah, because some journalists are unscrupulous. They don't take the whole story for their own understanding. It's interesting because in that respect, when the albinos came to my office, they mentioned Ekwemufie, about the fact that it is a taboo for albinos to live there, and this issue of sun cream, whether we cannot get it on the National Health Insurance Scheme or the LEAP for them to be able to get it. And I said, it's not about anybody's disability and being excluded. It's about inclusion, and that everybody has a talent, everybody has a potential, everybody has an ability. So I went to the UN and I met the Minister for Gender of Liberia. And she's an albino. Look at how far she has risen. For the ECOWAS Ministers of Gender, she chaired our forum. And so why would a taboo like that still be implemented in Ghana after so many years? Even my brother, Mustafa, is an albino.
Was you offended by the comments
No,
that you made?
he's my brother. That's how and he's my friend. So, if he has been able to rise to that extent, he has red hair. We call him Jato in the north and things like that. It's he exudes confidence. He is somebody who has worked hard. He's a lecturer at the university, and he's a minister for information now. The other person I forgot that day is the lawyer, Amwa.
What's his former name?
Yes, yes. Look at him. He's an exceptional lawyer. He speaks very well on every program. He has succeeded. I was celebrating them, that it is their ability, so that archaic, negative traditions and cultures, we should see how we would work at them so that people's abilities would rather be looked at. Then some unscrupulous journalist says that I say my brother is disabled. But is it a crime to be disabled, my sister? Disability can occur with age. My father lived with stroke for 30 years. At a certain point, he couldn't walk. He had to use a wheelchair. He couldn't even button his shirts. He couldn't feed himself. We had to feed him and hire nurses. Sometimes diabetes occurs and a limb has to be cut. Sometimes you're born that way, or a wrong medication or injection. It can happen to anybody. Nobody asks to be born a certain way. And so if you're born as an albino, it's okay for society to accept you. In some societies, I know they even kill them and things like that. In Ekwemufie, it's a taboo. And we as a people must look at it. So in as much as they are trying to discredit me, it has opened the discussion. And I like that bit for us as a nation, because 60 years on, we need to be serious as a nation. We need to understand that everybody is part of Ghana. Whoever you are, whether you are poor, whether you are whatever you are a Ghanaian. And it is a blessing to be a Ghanaian. Seeing these Kayaye, seeing some of our persons with disability begging is an eyesore. How are we going to ensure that we get them into productive activities is the issue of the Ministry of Gender. And so I speak like that because that is who I am. I've always worked with vulnerable people. I went to Tumu. I wrote that program to go and work with very deprived communities to make a difference in the lives of children and women. It is what has brought me here. For me, politics is a means to an end. I always say I'm not a politician.
I think I got a bit of maybe positive and negative comments from my interview with the Honorable Amasei from Akwatia, for instance. So I kind of feel you, but on the point is you had a special interest in her. So
Yes,
what's the latest
I must
updates?
say I'm very proud of her. You know, I am the women's organizer of the New Patriotic Party, and she showed huge potential. And so she went for primaries. She went with doctors, with Baba Jamal and what have you. And she floored all of them. Everybody in Akwatia knows that Amasei's ability to speak English is not as fluent as it should be. In spite of that, they voted for her because they want that type of person who understands their issues. And she has come up to Parliament. I congratulate her. I celebrate her.
We're in April. There was a promise made.
Yes. And so she has a teacher. She's working on her English because, yes, in Parliament, we speak English in Parliament. That's fine. But that should not stop anybody from going to Parliament. When I went to Germany, they were translating for me in English. When I went to Spain, Italy, wherever you go, France, they speak their mother tongue. And if you don't understand English, they translate. Amma is being very brave, especially when she went to read her speech. And that is what I talk about, unscrupulous journalists. We should celebrate her because it's possible that you have a mother who sells tomatoes in a Makola or Tamale market and she would want to come to Parliament. But because she can't speak English, she will not come. But Amma will encourage her and inspire her that if Amma has been able to go as a hairdresser to Parliament and beat all these learned people, then me, Otiko, selling tomatoes or a hairdresser or whatever from the informal sector, I too can go there. And that is why I am asking that journalists should be very sensitive about how they report on people. Our society sometimes is intolerant. For the wrong reasons, they pick on somebody and try to embarrass them. What's the point in ridiculing Amma? Amma could be your sister. Amma could be your daughter. She could be your mother or your wife. Would you want your wife to be like that? And so because of that, I want to talk to the Minister for Education and the non-formal sector of education so that we improve on the adult education to identify all women and men who have not had the chance of formal education so that they take advantage of the non-formal education to learn literacy and numeracy skills for the development of themselves.
Okay.
But Amma has nothing to be ashamed of.
So she's still taking her classes?
Yes, and she'll be coming to Parliament to make her speech soon. Her statement.
You know, you owe me an interview again, because
I will.
It was, she made the promise in that interview with me.
Yes.
So it has to flow
She's
with me.
She's a very bright young woman, and she will do it for her own sake and the rest of us.
Okay.
It's important
so
for
two
her.
things from Kumasi. The young lady who was stripped and humiliated. What's the situation?
Yes,
now?
I've been talking. That's what the other thing I need Ghanaians to understand. The Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection is to coordinate and lead on issues of social protection. But we are not the actual agency. For instance, what happened to Blessing in Kumasi, very unfortunate and terrible. The police are the first point of call. It's assault. If the allegation too that she had stolen something, that one too, you report it to the police. If, God forbid, you should slap me, you would go to the police to report it. So you have to find out from the police what happened before you make a statement. I cannot take over the work of the police. And so we did that and found out that she had been given a hospital form and went away. But maybe because of fear, maybe because of the humiliation she went through, Blessing doesn't want to be found. And so to date, we have not found her.
Oh, so you're still looking for her?
Yes, and I asked the gender officer in Kumasi to work with the police, and they have the CID and the DOFSO to look for her. However, the police also arrested some people, 23. They let, most of them are off on bail, but there is one particular guy, everybody saw him on the video, and he is still in their custody, and they are going to prosecute, and we are going to follow, because we must set an example that you cannot take justice into your own hands. You say you are providing justice, and then you rather perpetuate an injustice, because criminals, even if all have rights, but it's not for you and I to determine who is a criminal. We are not judges. That's why we have the rule of law, and we have a system of laws and the officers that would support it. So we are on it with the issue. We will always work with the other ministries to ensure that the rights of people are protected, and that people understand their rights. So in that regard, we want to work with Shiraj, with NCCE, with education, and all the other ministries, so that we organize child rights clubs across the country in all the schools, and then human rights associations in the communities. Because when you speak in Accra, it's not everybody who hears you in Nakbanduri or Somanya or what have you. So that we let people understand their rights in their dialects. And those who can speak English too. And then we're going to do the pictorial form of the rights of our people. So that wherever we have issues of teenage pregnancy, child marriage, we want to end it. And if albinos have a right to live freely in Ghana, we need to do advocacy and ensure that people understand that it is okay to be included. So we have a lot of work to do.
Definitely. I know you have to run off, but the other issue in Kumasi is the maternity and baby units of the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital, which has been sitting there for 43 years now. Fortunately for us, after that documentary produced by Seth Kwame Boateng, our own Seth Kwame Boateng, the president visited there over the weekend, and you were there with him.
I was there with him, yes. We went to the market and other things. Since 74, when Achampong and Achampong it started, It's been sitting there. President Rawlings came and did a few things, and then under President Kufuor, they redesigned the structure, put in all the things that are now being worked on today. For the last 8 years of the previous administration, very little had been done. And so it's affecting especially maternity and the infants, because dying and the place is crowded. And so I was very happy to be part of that. And the president promised that we are going to find money to complete it in the next 2 years, and the money is going to be found from loans, from grants, from government of Ghana ourselves, from corporate bodies that would want to support their corporate responsibility.
So can I, not to cut you, but can I just tell you what we've started in the form of having a structure? This is in the meantime, because children continue to die and we continue to get the statistics every day. So there's space. The hospital has identified a place where we can raise a structure for a little expansion now.
Good.
And Parliament has picked on it. So we have a member of Parliament for Okankwe Central, Patrick Boama, who started a campaign that if every parliamentarian could contribute 1,000 Ghana cedis, that will go a long way in helping.
I will also contribute 1,000 cedis.
That's nice.
Yes.
Is it possible that you can take the basket to the ministry in all the offices for people to contribute?
Why
it
not?
may not be 1,000,
but
whatever. Any amount of money.
The Ghanaian now understand the spirit of giving. Sometimes children with hole in heart, they come on TV or radio and they speak and people donate. June 3rd, when we had that terrible, unfortunate fire in the rain, people contributed massively, and we're going to work with the NADMO and the minister in charge of those issues to ensure that come 3rd of this year, that's soon, 3rd June.
3rd June?
Yes, we find out what has happened to them. When I had the National Dialogue for Persons with Disability, fire victims from that incident came. I met a young girl, her whole face and body is scarred and she was in tears. What are we going to do to help her to restore her face and her body? Have they been given accommodation? Those who lost their parents, where have we placed them? These are all issues of social protection. So it's
so important. We're going to do a total recall.
Yes, yes, we're going to do that and review it and see what we can do. And with the issue of going round, definitely we're going to do that.
Okay.
We also have.
When should I come to your office?
You can come today as soon as we finish. You can come with me for it, because God has been good to Ghana, but these terrible things happen, and it is human beings that God will use to effect the type of meaningful change that we need as a people. And I would encourage all Ghanaians to support Nana Addo's dream of building a Ghana that we ourselves are going to manage. He says he will do the hospital in the next 2 years. I believe that by the grace of God, it will happen. He says Free SHS is coming on board in September. I believe that it will happen. When we went to Kumasi, the young people were saying, Nana Addo, he go do. Nana Addo, he go do. So I'm saying to you that it's a new era in Ghana. Sure. The expectations of our people, their appetite for change is huge. And change cannot happen with just Nana Addo. It happens with you, me, and you watching. Change starts with all of us to build on what has already been started and improve upon it, so that 60 years on, we are the type of people in the frame of mind for change, effective change. All of us being disciplined, sacrificing, being patriotic, and ensuring that Ghana, the Black Star, is being experienced in our homes. And then outside Ghana. Yeah,
definitely it's a wrap. But just quickly on Facebook, Alfred Mensah says, what are her plans for the Kaya? And she should not say they will be eradicated from the market. It is fine who will carry our goods when we go to the market.
I'll tell you, the Kaya Pet Project, I started a program. I was working with 40 groups in Accra as a women's organizer and 20 in Ashanti region. We are developing a database to identify all of them. There are more than 100,000. And then we will know where they are and what they want to do. Some have been to school, JHS, or dropped from primary or senior secondary, the SHS will absorb them there.
Okay, so, but the question is, who would carry our goods when we go to the
Yes,
market?
I'll
then?
get to that point.
Okay.
I want to talk about their education first because that is the key. Some of them want to be community health nurses, to be teachers. Everybody has a dream. The one village, one dam, the one constituency, $1 million, one district will change the environment economically in the rural area. They come largely because of poverty, seeking greener pastures. So you have to have a program there to stop them from coming. Otherwise, it's endless. So that we discourage others from coming. And those who are here, we have gone into collaboration with a professor at KNUST. He's designing a push or pull robust trolley that can cover up and take our cassava and all the things that they don't have to carry. They can push or pull, and you and I can also push and pull.
Okay, just like we do when we go to the supermarket.
Exactly,
okay.
Exactly. So that is going to come out. And then we have the LEAP program that works with the YES. And we last year, 400 Kayaye were trained. I know it's a drop in the ocean in skills training, in ICT, in cake making, in jewelry making, tie and dye. We want to train 1,000 this year. We have the mass lock, 50% is dedicated to women. We'll put some of them there. Those who are interested in catering or whatever, the school feeding program will be, we are reviewing it. It will be starting again. New contracts will be issued. So there are opportunities to empower them. There are children, we're looking at our markets to have creches. Those that are there, they should have, take advantage of them. We have market centers, we have rapid response programs at Makwala and Agbogloshi, so that if you have an issue as a Kayaye, you go there and discuss it. We are bringing in a single entry call center with lines for different regions, with professionals manning them, so that I don't get calls at 5 a.m. because I can't myself solve them. So there are professionals, you know, the reporting of suicides is also on the increase, so that people can call in and we work with the other ministries that are competent to do those things, because that is what we do. We link up, we coordinate these issues. So the call center, we will be talking.
Well, when are you hoping to set up the call center?
Oh, we are working with the World Bank on it. In the next 2 to 3 weeks, we should have it running.
Okay.
Yes, we've already located a place that we can have it done. So a journey of 1,000 miles. We've started. We are on the ground running.
Yeah.
We have a program for the he for she ambassadors, men being ambassadors, because you can't do women's empowerment without the men.
Definitely.
We bring them on, and we're going to launch that as well. And we're going to expand the LEAP. Currently, it's 213,000 households. By the end of this year, we should get to 350,000 households. We have a cash plus where the beneficiaries will be leaped out of poverty. They learn how to make basketry and other things. We give them a startup and we move them out so that we can bring more people in.
Okay.
School feeding, a lot of people have misconceptions. And it's important that we understand that it's to alleviate poverty and support homegrown food. That means our local farmers. We're going to link up with them, ensure that we increase enrollment, because when children go to school to eat, they remain in school and keep them there, retention. So we are reviewing it. We are waiting for the president.
So it's on hold now?
The people are cooking. Sometimes they think that because they're cooking, and then in 2009, the former administration sacked all the caterers. We are going to sack, we should sack everybody.
We heard of some takeovers with this new administration.
We have spoken to everybody. 2 wrongs don't make a right, but they are on contract. The contract would end this July. School feeding is a school program. It's by contract, yearly. And we put in an advert. The adverts will be in this, by the end of this April. The DCs will be put in place because it goes through the district assembly. And so anybody who is interested or can do it will be going to pick the forms. And then we have to review it, because sometimes you have issues of hygiene, of the food not being nutritious enough, the quality of the food, where it's cooked and all of that.
So you're not given the contracts of the cooking of the food to NPP people? Oh,
poverty has no color. Poverty, anybody can be poor. I experienced childhood poverty because my father was on exile, and all avenues of him having money were locked up. and so I had to go cleaning and waitressing and what have you. It can happen to anybody, and rich people can become poor, and poor people can become rich. So it's not a political thing, but that does not mean that we are going to maintain all the current, what do you call it, caterers.
All the current caterers NDC?
I don't know about that. So that is neither here nor there. It's who comes to apply, the ability to do it. There's an interview panel, and we have helplines as well for school feeding, and I'll give them to you when we close so that people who have questions can ask.
Okay.
But let us not repeat the crimes of the past. If the NDC took out all caterers, and I'd like to use this your platform to tell any caterer who was removed in 2009 and you were not paid for the cooking days, you can bring your documents and your application for your repayment. They left us a debt of 114 million Ghana cedis for 75 cooking days. They didn't pay for it. We have to find the money to pay for it. I'm serious about school feeding because the ministry's budget, 255 million, 200 million Ghana cedis is for school feeding. The 55 million is for everything else. So it is not an area that I'm going to joke with. And if we want to eradicate poverty seriously by 2013, as per the Sustainable Development Goals, eradicate hunger, and all those issues to do with ending child marriage. If children have good food in school, then we are getting there. They will have jobs. Then it means parents will not be taking money to buy that hot meal for them. That money will be used for something else.
Okay.
We'll take the food from the local farmers. So local farmers, we want to work with you and the Ministry of Agric, of course, to have that market open. The Ghana rice, we want to see it being used in our schools, our tomatoes, our yam, our kontomire.
Yeah.
We want to work with the nutritionists to develop a good meal, because my child could be in school and would be eating that food.
Yeah.
We have to do things effectively,
okay,
so that it's good for all of us.
All right. On that note, I made a promise. I want to get you to the British Council before it's 9
for another program.
And this has to do with child marriage. So
yes,
I guess we will talk
very
some
important.
more.
Yeah.
I thank you for being here. It's
Thank
always
you too.
such a nice pleasure talking to you.
Thank
Anytime,
you.
any day. We need about 2 hours for a good conversation. But thank you so much. We wish you well.
Thank you too.
Yes, ma'am.
And God bless all Ghanaians. It's our time. It's our destiny. Let's do things that will make our lives a blessing to ourselves and to the rest of our country.
All right.